Hello there. So this is my Summerslam Night 2 review. And as I always say when I do my WWE reviews and things like that, keep in mind I don't watch the weekly product and everything like that. I get the gist of certain things that are going on with the storyline, so always keep that in mind when I'm giving my thoughts here. So this will just be my review. And again, overall, I was entertained by this show. It's kind of like again. It's weird. Well, I've mentioned this before, and I mentioned it yesterday's review. It's almost like you look at the YouTube reviews and everything like that, YouTube comment sections and the YouTube thumbnails about the people who cover this stuff constantly. They seem to absolutely hate everything, and yet constantly keep covering it. And I'm just coming in every now and again, going, yeah, whatever. It's what, and maybe that's a big difference here. It's maybe because I'm not so, and I am nowhere near as invested in wrestling as I used to be. So maybe that's just if I just want to watch the odd show and that here and again, then yeah, that's fine. But always keep that in mind. But yes, I was entertained by this. And another thing to keep in mind, didn't watch it live, so I was fast forwarding through a lot of things. So a lot of the frustrations for people about adverts and things like that, about the shows being too long and everything like that. I got through it in like an hour and 40 minutes. I wasn't watching it live, so keeping that in mind. I could absolutely understand if you were watching it live, especially in the UK when it's fucking, well, it starts at 11 or something like that nowadays. So, it's not as late as it used to be, but, if you're up all night watching it, keep that in mind. But there you go. That's enough waffling. Let's get to the first match. So the first match was Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor. Now, I honestly thought the women's ladder match was originally going to be the first match. I've kind of thought, oh, well, that would make sense, ladder match on first, the big high spots and all that. But and then but the match was advertised as Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, number one contenders match for one of the titles, and I was like, all right, okay, whatever. I mean, at least you get Sami Zayn on the card. I mean, you gave him the title at the last show and then took it off him a few days later, so whatever. At least you get him on the show and fine, whatever. I had zero interest, so I was fast forwarding that through the entrances, and it was like, "Oh, Gunther's been added to the match." I was like, "All right, okay." And then the other one we got to, and then what's it? Nick Aldis brought out Kevin Owens, and I was kind of like, "Oh, all right, okay, well, this is kind of cool," because Kevin Owens has been out for like, I remember like Elimination Chamber last year, match with Sami Zayn and all that. Elimination Chamber last year, by the way, fucking great pay per view or PLE as you would call it now. But I was I think he's been out since then. He was originally meant to fight Randy Orton at WrestleMania that year, but of course, terrible injury and that. But it's good to see him back. So this was a good moment, and this was a good sort of pump the crowd out, pump the crowd up, big feel start to the show. So this was cool. Match was big. People are like, here's another thing where me and the wrestling community are completely disengaged. A lot of people are complaining that the matches are too short on these shows, and I noticed that about WrestleMania, and I was quite positive on WrestleMania. I'm actually fucking glad they've started making the matches shorter, or the matches that don't mean so much shorter, the undercard matches shorter. Because, if it's fast paced, entertaining while it lasts, I'm fine with that. And you know what? At least this was a match with something on the line. Now, granted, you could argue this is a match you could see on any SmackDown and Raw. True, completely true. Like a SmackDown or Raw main event, this would be good, but you you'd rather have storylines. But then again, because I'm not seeing the weekly TV shows all the time, I don't know what the build up and all that is to most of these. I get the gist of it from what people are saying, but it doesn't bother me so much now as it would have done a few years ago. So whatever, I can enjoy the match for what it was. Kevin Owens gets the stunner on Sami Zayn and wins. Cool. From what I gather, it's one of the titles. I'm not sure which one's Raw, SmackDown, whatever. But it would make sense that he goes for CM Punk, because I don't, to my knowledge, now he probably has done in the Indies. There'll be some nerd who goes, well, you didn't know that CM Punk fought Kevin Steen in the Indies, so you're not a real wrestling fan. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm not a real wrestling fan, really. I just somebody who wants to watch a half decent show and get entertained. So fine, whatever. Use it as an insult if you want. But to my knowledge, I don't think they've ever fought each other in the WWE. At least, I've never seen them fight each other. So fine. I know a few years ago when I was really at my wit's end with wrestling. Is like when Roman Reigns was in his 250-year title reign, he kept fucking fighting. Kevin Owens kept getting fucking losing matches against him and kept getting fucking rematches and kept losing. So I don't think we really need Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens again. But assuming it's like Owens and CM Punk, then yeah, fine, cool. And of course, this would tie in with the whole CM Punk took the title off Sami Zayn, so Sami Zayn could then cost Kevin Owens. Again, it's going to lead to another. I suppose that'll lead to Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn part 75,000. Well, whatever, it is what it is. But for what this was, good start to the show. Then we've got next Trick Williams versus Baron Corbin, or as I like to call him, Boring Corbin, for the US title. Now, this is where this is one of those, the more things change, the more they stay the same type things. It's like, so this guy, Trick Williams, who I'm not totally familiar with, but, I've seen a couple of his matches against Sami Zayn, funny enough, at WrestleMania and Backlash. I got his moment for him winning the US title at WrestleMania. So they brought Baron Corbin back for some fucking reason. And then, yeah, Baron Corbin just beats him here. Now, I was fast forwarding through this and I seen a table set up and I was like, is this a tables match or something, or some sort of no holds barred thing? But no, apparently it wasn't. There was just, I think he's got, Trick Williams just got his hype man, whoever the fuck he is. He must have set it up. I saw, I was kind of fast forwarding through that, not gonna lie. Match itself, yeah, whatever, it is what it is. It wasn't complete shit, but it was fairly short, so whatever. And then the reason why I thought, is this a no holds barred match or something like that? And then at the end, when Corbin hits him behind, hits Williams with the belt behind the referee's back, and then Cole was like, the referee didn't see it. And I was like, is this a no holds barred match or what? Because it wouldn't have mattered if he hit him in front of the referee, but whatever. And then he wins the match. I mean, like I said, if Vince McMahon, imagine if Vince McMahon had booked this back in 2019, 2018, and you'd be like, well, he put Barry Corbin over the new guys came up from NXT and all that. And to be fair, yeah, this is, like I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So, boring Corbin's won the title. I mean, you brought this boring bastard back. Again, I remember they had that Constable Corbin or Constipated Corbin or whatever the fuck he was. All back there, that was when wrestling was at. I was at my like, oh Jesus, this is fucking shite. Like, what has happened to this company? This is unwatchable. But yeah, you brought this cunt back and gave him a title very quickly. So, oh well, whatever. But it is what it is. What can you do about it? Anyway, we come to the women's title match now. Here's the thing, right? Rhea Ripley wins the title at WrestleMania, but seemingly she's been injured. I don't know how long she's been injured for, but instead of stripping her of the title and like maybe making this for the title, they made it for the interim title. See, this is where the IWC and the tribalism is a load of pish, because I vaguely remember hearing about AEW done something like this. Was it not with CM Punk and John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever the fuck you want to call him? Never seen it, but I heard about it, like with stuff on the internet and stuff. And now all the WWE marks were like, well, it's fucking stupid having an interim title. Well, and yes, I actually agree with you. I honestly hope those same people who were whining at AEW, and I'm not defending AEW, by the way. Tony Khan seems like an awfully nice guy in real life, but I can't be arsed watching his product because honestly it sounds shite. But I hope you had the same energy for this as you did for Tony Khan and AEW back then. Just saying. But so as interim champion is kind of stupid. And by the way, this also ties into the whole Jade Cargill, who's in this match. But months ago, I seen the whole thing about Jade Cargill sent a tweet out about how Rhea Ripley likes to go and talk to creative. And we've seen the stuff with that WWE Unreal about the way she is with Triple H. I'm just like, yeah, there's no smoke without fire in that sense. I'll tell you that much. Because why has she not been stripped of the title? Honestly, terrible that she's injured, but if she can't defend the title at a major show like this, then I'm sorry, she has to get stripped of the title, and then you can have this match, and then she can go and fight the winner of this match to get it back. The title she never lost or whatever. That's all fine. But then the way it panned out, you can sort of see now. This is a good match. I actually enjoyed it. It was entertaining for what for what it was. Good little spots. Great little spot here when you've got the hope spot for Chelsea Green. At first you think, oh yeah, she's coming to win it, and then Jade's lackeys come in and batter her. The jobbers come in and beat her up and like leave her hanging upside down on the ladder. And that was genuine good heel heat because you're kind of like, oh, fuck off, come on. But the whole stuff goes on for a few minutes, but then Chelsea comes to and is actually after hanging upside down on the ladder and then climbs up the ladder and actually gets her moment. So that was actually well done. I thought that was very good. Great finish. And happy for Chelsea Green, especially with the whole shite about Michael Hayes and all that pish and everything like that. From speaking of unreal as well. So, good for her. At least she's a character. She tries to be entertaining and stuff like that. Good luck to her. So this is where I sort of think, right, okay, maybe this is why they've done the interim title thing. Because it's like, we could give Chelsea Green her big moment and we can give it in a ladder match when you don't have to essentially beat or pin the other top people. But, I do wonder what's going to happen with this because either she's the interim title to, to her because she's never been a world champion. And I hate to say this because this is going to sound really patronising. It is this huge moment. But it's kind of like, yeah, well, it's the interim title, not really the real title, if you know what I mean. Well, I say real title, I mean they're all fucking props and everything like that. But it's kind of like, yeah, we gave her our moment. Now you can shut up. And you've gave her our moment at a big match, at a big show, and then they either have her get beat like in the next SmackDown, Raw, whatever, and then it's kind of like, yeah, here's your moment, and then you get beat instantly, kind of like Sami Zayn from Saudi Arabia and all that recently. Even her husband, Matt Cardona, who I think's complete shit. I can't stand him. Like that Zack Ryder, fucking pish. He irritates the shit out of me. But he won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania and then lost it the next night. Either that or and kind of like Christian as well, who's great by the way. I'm a big Christian fan, but first time he won the title and then he got it taken off him the first SmackDown after it was kind of like, all right, is this kind of the thing? You're going to say, well, that's Vince McMahon booking. Well, I'm seeing an awful lot of Vince McMahon bookings here, hence the Baron Corbin thing earlier. So it's maybe not that different. Like I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Either Chelsea Green loses it on their first defence on TV or whatever, or it's all a thing for Rhea Ripley to come back and absolutely squash her. And I'm telling you one thing, if they do that, you're going to massively turn Rhea Ripley heel with this. And if that's the plan, if you want Rhea Ripley to go down the heel route, then go right ahead. Go right ahead, because that will actually get heel heat. But Triple H loves her so much, and Rhea Ripley seems to be kind of, she just let me put it this way, I don't think she comes across well. She comes across as very unlikable things. So if you have Rhea Ripley come in, it wouldn't be that the whole thing. The Rhea Ripley wants to be this. "Oh, I'm a big megastar. I'm totally amazing, this and then a lot of the marks are like, yeah, she's such a major star and everything like that. I mean, nah, she really isn't. Put her out there in the mainstream, and no one would give a fuck. Let's call a spade a spade. But nice to see Chelsea Green get her moment, but the only way that Rhea Ripley coming in and squashing Chelsea Green for this would be if you actually wanted to make Rhea Ripley a monster heel. But the way that Triple H seems to be in love with her, I'm not so sure that's going to happen. But anyway, whatever, worry about that down the line. Chelsea Green, great to see her have her moment. This was fun. Speaking of fun, kind of, Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio. Human might on a pole match. I knew roughly about something about. I remember I was like when Morgan said something at the last pay per view that I watched last month about how he stole the Judgment Day's money or something like that. And I did like the little video package, by the way. That was one thing I didn't fast forward. The little, what was it, the House Father or something like that. I think they've done quite good. I remember there was another video package with Danhausen. They done at another event a couple of months ago. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember thinking, oh, this is actually quite good. You can actually do something with this cunt. This is actually quite entertaining. And like I said, Triple H gets with it seems to get away with the IWC with a lot of the booking for say the Baron Corbin thing, and then imagine if Vince Russo booked this, you know, but Triple H will still get away with it. It's like never mind, but um, not to stick up for Vince Russo too much because you know I don't think he's as casual as you like to say. As like he's doing shows with fucking JD from New York and things like that. Him and Jonathan Coachman doing that. That's another thing. Side note: apparently Jonathan Coachman was doing the Busted Open Radio, and then he got fired about a month ago, and then apparently now WWE Radio Busted Open's now a part of WWE Radio, and that's one thing I noticed the night before when I was flicking through it and all that. There was a bit when they were speaking about people at ringside, and it was here's the Busted Open WWE Radio crew with like Billy Ray Dudley and all that, or Billy Ray Dudley, what the fuck you call that fat bastard, and that cunt that was greeting about The Rock. I hate The Rock. I love Cody Rhodes so much. Whatever the fuck his name, Legreca or whatever he's fucking called. And that fucking prick Tommy Dreamer and all that as well. I think that was Tommy Dreamer as well. Whoever it was some prick that looked like him. Anyway, Tommy Dreamer's shite. Can't stand that cunt. Anyway, that's the whole thing. Some people will say, "Well, you're just being a shell when you say positive things about this show," and I'm just like, "No, if I say positive things about the show, it's because I quite liked it, and if I say negative things about it, it's because I don't like it." But having said that, those people, when now they'll say, and by all accounts, they've all been saying, "Ah, WWE's amazing and WWE's this and WWE's great" for months now because they've obviously been in the pocket of them and they hate everything AEW does. So make of that what you will. Anyway, almost like Olivia Rodrigo doing a photo shoot and all that front cover for Pitchfork, and then Pitchfork, whatever that magazine's called, out, and then they give her great reviews, but everyone else not so good reviews. It's like, all right, okay, okay. Call me a conspiracy theorist all you want, but you know it happens in all industries, not just wrestling. Anyway, I digress. Look, this match fine for what it was. You know, it was daft. You've got the Munchkins coming in, or whatever they're fucking called. I remember seeing the match as well with them a couple of months ago. It was quite funny, actually. It was quite entertaining. This was, yeah, whatever. It didn't really bother me. You know, Joe Hendry came in. I heard about that segment, the concert and things. And I looked up the thing on YouTube. I was kind of like, all right, people were calling it the worst thing ever. And, you know, everything's the worst thing ever, or the best thing ever when it comes to YouTube clickbait and all that. So I looked it up. It looked pretty terrible. More than I get the idea because you've got like two sort of personalities and everything like that. So doing a concert with them's a good idea. But from what I can see, all they did was just say, "I believe that you are cursed," and they kept doing that for like minutes on end. I'm like, and then they brought out dancers, which fair enough. I'm all for, and the Munchkins and all that. Yeah, it looked pretty terrible, but I don't know if it's the worst thing ever. I mean, to be fair, I've heard a lot of Becky Lynch promos and they're pretty shite, so, you know, make it that way you will. But yeah, as far as the curse thing as well, Dominic was up about to get it, and Danhausen done that cursed thing, and then the thing exploded, and Dominic fell down, and Danhausen got the briefcase and gave it all the human monies, I suppose it's meant to be. Uh, it was all right for what it was, you know. That was one thing I thought is like he cursed Liv Morgan as well before last month before her match, and then she just sort of lost clean, but she didn't lose in any shenanigans type of way. But at least with this, it was kind of like, but now she just went and won clean or rematch. So how does the curse work? Does it is it just for one night? Is it just for certain things? Because if she'd have lost in a funny sort of shenanigans type of way, you'd have got. I mean, I get it. I know it was the Queen of the Ring final, and she's the champion. And you don't want to make it too silly or anything like that to a degree. But I was kind of like, whatever. And I haven't heard anything like outwardly happen. But or if he lifted the curse, I don't know. Whatever. Why am I going into depth about this? Don't know. Here we fucking go. Anyway, make it that way you will. We then come on to the next match, Intercontinental title, Penta and Chad Gable. Yeah, uh, a straight up wrestling match now because you go from the one extreme to the other. and it was very good for what it was. Now, I know a lot of people are complaining, "Oh, it didn't go long enough." Like, like I said, I don't want mega long wrestling matches for the most part, especially if the main event's gonna be mega long. We'll get to that. But it was really good for what it was. I was entertained by it, fast-paced. Chad Gable wins by tap out, great. He wins the title. Actually really enjoyed the match for what it was. And then his family came in. Now, this is when I was fast forwarding, and I never realised this. Apparently, I seen the review from that BC Amplified, who I shouted out earlier. And, well, not earlier, but in the previous review, night one review, who I do enjoy his content. He's one of the few wrestling YouTubers who, even though he's always negative about everything, he's negative to a point and he actually makes good points and he's entertaining and he's funny with it. So that's why. And he was saying about apparently there was this mascot that came on and I can't remember what it was called. I vaguely mind seeing it while I was fast forward and I think it was in the crowd beforehand, but then apparently he came in and like came in with Jack Cable's family after it and I'm kind of like, that was a whole TKO thing and I'm just like, all right, okay. I mean, I'm glad I fast forwarded that. That sounded shit, but whatever. We come to the main event: Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Look, it is what it is. You've got a match that's been done many a time before. I've seen it a fair few times before. It's probably been done many a times in the years and times when I wasn't paying much attention to the product. So for what it was, excellent match, you know. And I said, if you want, I think I don't mind the longer. I don't mind the main event being a long match as long as it's a good match and I'm entertained by it, and the rest of the matches being relatively good length, like 6, 8, 10 minutes, whatever. I'm fine with that. I'm actually fine with that. And I think that was well done here, and I think that was quite well structured here. And look, it's your usual finisher spam nowadays. And I think we all knew it was going to be that. But it was done well, and this is done by two now people who have been doing this for a long time, two of the best in the business. Look, Seth Rollins as a character and as a person in real life, anytime I hear him talk, he sounds like a twat. His promos are shit, which is why I'm glad I don't, or were shit in the past, which is why I don't watch this product regularly, because it's just a whole type thing. But, and to be fair, the Danhausen and Joe Hendry concert's probably better than most Seth Rollins promos. I'm just saying. I'm just fucking saying. I can't believe it. It's even it would be worse than that. But the guy in the ring's a really good wrestler for what he is. Like, he can never be a favourite of mine because to me, you've got to be the whole package. You know, like in ring, promo, everything. But, you know, character and all that. But, you know, in the ring, he's excellent. You've got to be said. I know, I get it. He's Triple H's boy. I mean, you know, yeah, know the nepotism and all that. Not that he's actually related to him, but he may as well be the way it's going. But you know, but kudos for in the ring. I can give credit for that. He is excellent, and Roman Reigns is great. He delivers in big matches. This wasn't as good as like the CM Punk WrestleMania main event with between a few months ago with him and Roman, but it was pretty damn good. It was excellent. I really enjoyed the match. You know, Roman wins, and then they do a little fist bump at the end. Yeah, fine, whatever. As a match goes, and even when Michael Cole said that was one of the greatest SummerSlam main events ever, I didn't feel asinine by that because usually when they say, "Oh, this is one of the greatest things ever," and this is one of the greatest things ever, I'm like, "Wait, mate, shut up." But for this, I was kind of like, "Yeah, it was really fucking good, actually." Now, as a whole, over the two nights, I'd say I was entertained. I was entertained by the show. These are both shows. Now, let me put this in perspective and let me say this is lowered expectations here. I'm not going to go back and rewatch these shows. I have no desire to go back and rewatch these shows the way I would do the best pay-per-views, the great past SummerSlams or anything like that. But as a show, I was kind of like, yeah, I've seen other shows that are just complete dog shit in the most recent years. I mentioned 2019, 2019, 2020, 2021 almost put me off wrestling completely. But then I took a step back, came back during sort of the Netflix era and all that. And now, by the way, I'm not spending money specifically to watch these shows. It's not like I'm spending money to watch a pay-per-view or £10 for the networks for a certain show. Look, I spend I've mentioned this before. I spend £5 a month on my Netflix just for Netflix in general for lots of stuff. But if wrestling's there, fine. Plus, I've got the shows from the past to watch, so fine. So the whole Netflix WWE thing has suited me. So this is why I've started rewatching some or watching some of the new shows. But I don't have the desire. But look, I have no desire to sit through Raw tonight. If anything happens, and I hear there's a good segment or something exciting happens, like I said, I'll watch individual segments. But that's just my thoughts. Take it from this. I'm not coming here from I'm the hardcore wrestling fan that wants to watch every single show and talk about wrestling 24/7 and all that shit. And I'm also coming at from it from the like, is it a show that I was entertained by as somebody who's drifting in and out of the product? Yeah, I was. So make of that what you will. If you've made it this far, thank you for taking the time to listen, and goodbye.